everybody. I was running a bit behind there because I had my phone all set up for my hands and all of a sudden it was not working. So I'm trying to get you my hands here. So welcome in everybody. Hello, hello. Give me a second. Let me see if I'm going to try to turn my phone off. It has not been turned off in a really long time. So let me try turning it off and then yeah, stuck in ads. Something. I don't know what it is. Hi Shad. Hi Bonnie. Hello, Diamond Girl is here. Wendy Joe is here. Lisa. Hi Chels. Yeah, a little bit of technical. It'll be all right. Hey, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Hello, Maureen. Alicia B is here. Patricia Blanton. Denny's here. Hi, Candace. Delphine's Handcrafted. That's Deb. Hello, Carolyn. And okay. Hi, Kat. Who else? Am I missing anybody? Hello, Colleen. Thank you. Thank you for watching ads. Julianne is here. Hi, Lori. Lori Wallace is here. Okay. And if anybody is watching and lurking, hello to you guys too. I'll turn my phone back on. Maybe that will clear anything that is hung up and then I can try again. Hi, Alice. Hi, Elizabeth. There's Mo. Oh, no. Oh, dropped your phone. I hate it when that happens and then something doesn't work. All right, let me see if I can get this to go. Because what was happening was I could, oh, looks like I might have it this time. For some reason, I had no camera. See? Okay, now let me turn it. There we go. Now, by golly, I think she's got it. Now we can just get it to be steady. Sorry. I had it turned off earlier, but then, you know. How is everybody tonight? I'm wearing a necklace, Shad, and earrings. So the necklace is my sloth necklace. This is is it David's? Oh, I forgot. My daughter Carrie got it for me. He is just adorable. Yes. Oh, thank you, Colleen. Hi, Joyce. Hi, Sharon. It did. It worked. A hard reset worked. I know I'm loving these colors, the way they're playing out. So we're into the pink for a while, and I don't think that's going to change for a while. So I may wind up switching out on a row here pretty soon. But after it goes through the pink and white, then it goes to the pink with this here. And then we go back to that rainbow. but I may switch it out because that's a lot of the pink. Oh, I did not see it yet. No, I did not. But I can't look right now. Does anybody know anything about this case? Does anybody remember the case? Have you been following it? And just to let you all know, I'm probably going to do things a little bit differently today. I've been having some issues when I upload. Once the live is over and it uploads to YouTube, for some reason a lot of the things that I have been showing you, I have been getting some strikes on those, and that is copyright issues. I have one video, I think it was the one with Susan Smith, and I had actually cut a chunk of that out so that it would monetize it, and it was fine, except another part of that same upload was saying that I have to share that the rights. I have to share the monetization, and that's okay as long as I'm not getting, and they're not like strikes against me and my channel. No problem with the channel. It's just they're not monetizing them, and I don't like it when they give me those marks, So thank you, Danny. Ooh, that sounds pretty, Wendy Joe. Hi, Lori. Now, I'm going to try not, I have one air conditioner on because it's been a very warm couple of days. And I turn on my fan. Hope that doesn't bother you. And if I have to, I may turn my other air conditioner on behind me if I get too stuffy. So just so y'all know, because I've got all the lights on. Hey, there she is, the knitting artisan. Good to see you. Yes. Yep, I got to stay cool. This is some pretty hot stuff we're talking about. So this case is really very, very complex. There's a lot going on. And one of the reasons I decided to go ahead and cover this Friday is because on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, which I also want to mention to you guys, if you don't already know, I'd really like for everybody to go over on Tuesday and watch the coverage of this on Duty Ron's channel. But Lori is going to be, Lori Vallow, Daybell, is going to be arraigned on Tuesday. She has now been declared competent to stand trial. And it looks like they're going to try her and Chad together at the same time. So crazy toxic, absolutely. No, I didn't go to Catholic school, but I have dyslexia. So I grew up in my early years, I remember having problems to where, hi Loretta, I had problems where I was always getting marks on my papers because it would be wrong. And I have a thing about those marks. I can't handle those marks. So if you don't have any idea why we are knitting and talking about crime, is because knitting and crime is cool, y'all. And if you would like to make a scrap blanket, you can refer to the very first video in this series. And I try to leave the information for you down below at the bottom in the description of all of the videos. And I do have a playlist down there for you so you can go back and watch some of the other, all of the stitching crimes are in a playlist, and I link that down below for you too. I double checked that today because it looked like those links weren't working very well. And if y'all have any problem with links, be sure and email me or message me and let me know. Oh, dyslexia it's a pain in the butt, y'all. It really is. And I have issues. Mine is a very classic dyslexia, and it causes me to have issues with recall. Nothing technical here. This is just my scratcher. Hey, who is that? I didn't know there was a channel called A Stitch in Crime. Hello. Nice to have you here. Or are you a channel, or is that your regular name? Okay. Hi, Maribel. Hi, Tammy. So if you need any details about the blanket, I do explain that in the very first Stitch in Crime and show you how to cast on. And there's I have a playlist, a knitting playlist that you can go and check out, which with some tips and all of the details about the blanket and what we're doing is there for you. Yeah, getting tested was really hard for me too, for the dyslexia. It was. Took a while. My mom actually, we moved because of my dyslexia to get me to a different school so that I could get different curriculum. But I will tell you the one thing that flipped things around for me, absolutely and positively, and that is every single night, without fail, no matter what, school night or not, for probably, I don't even know how long, as long as it would seem like years, my mother read to me and with me and made me read back to her. And that flipped things around for me. It really did. One of the best things she ever did for me. Hi, Kimberly. Yeah, Einstein had dyslexia. That's true. Okay, so Lori, her name is Lori Cox Vallow Daybell. Of course, she doesn't go by all of those names, but those are her history. She was born Lori Cox. Her mother's name is Janice, and they were living in California. She was actually born close to Palo Alto in California, and her family were devout Mormons pretty much from the get-go. And so she grew up as in the Mormon faith, also known as LDS, Latter-day Saints. Her father, I could not find very much information about Lori's father. So if anybody has anything to add, hi Kelly, then they can let me know if they find anything. I found one, what I would call like a tabloid story. Okay, if you know what the tabloids, I found a tabloid type story about Lori's father, and I think that his name might have been Barry. And it is said that Janice and Barry owed over $300,000 to the IRS because Barry did not believe in paying taxes, which we could get into that argument, but we're not going to because I don't do politics here. But he was of the impression that he did not have to pay his taxes, and so he didn't. And he also wrote a book, and it was basically an anti-government book. And that is all that I found. I'm not going to go into details about that because, like I said, that was more tabloidish and unconfirmed than what I am comfortable with saying. Now, Lori has a sister, and her name is Summer Shiplet. And she has had a brother, and his name was Alex. Yeah. Come on in, Sue. And then this was a fairly good sized family, okay? But there is a niece that becomes a part of this story, and that Lori was, and her family was close to. And her name is Melanie. Now, there is also another Melanie who has done a lot of interviews, and that was one of Lori's best friends. So there's two Melanies in this story. Now, in 1992, now, now the only thing I could find about Lori and growing up was that they were devout Mormons. That Lori was she did dance, she played softball, she she grew up, she was a cheerleader. She was a very pretty girl growing up, and so those were all the normal type things that I found out about her. Nothing really all that spectacular about her growing up days. Let me see if there was anything else. She did dance. Oh, she became a hairstylist. That's what she did for a job for a long time, as she was a hairstylist. In 1992, now Chad Daybell is Lori Daybell's fifth husband. Her first husband was 1992, and his name was Nelson. In 1995, she married her second husband, and his name was William. And she had a son with him, and his name is Colby. They got divorced in February of 1998. And then in 2001, Lori married Joseph Ryan Jr. And then she has Tylee, and Tylee was born in 2002. Now, I'm just doing a rundown here of the timeline, you guys, and then we will get into the nuances in a minute. Hi, Laura. Okay, Shad. Hi, Verna. I know, right? Keeping up with those marriages. Well, they have a habit of dying, those marriages. Just saying. And so Tylee was born in 2002. Somewhere, and I don't remember what year it happened. I want to say that it was in 2003. Lori appears on Wheel of Fortune. Can you believe that? She was actually a contestant on Wheel of Fortune while she was married to Joseph. Hi, Terry. Oh, that's Tony. That's Tony. Hi, Tony. So I'm not sure about the earlier husbands. As far as I know, they are both still alive. Joseph died in 2018 of a heart-related problem. And of course, Lori's brother Alex killed Charles, the fourth husband, and Chad is the fifth. There you are. Hi, Terry. Terry knows quite a bit about this story. Hey, Frozen, send me an email. I've lost your address. I was going to send out your package today, looked everywhere and could not find it. I'm like, because I just told you don't worry about it because I knew I had it, but now I can't find it. So please send me an email with your address. And it'll be Monday before I can get it out to you. I know we need a flow chart on this one. That's why I got it written down over here. And I'm going to show you a place, East Idaho News. He did a fantastic job. He has kept up with this like you would not believe. Okay, so she was on Wheel of Fortune, and then she was a contestant. Now, this is all while she was married to Joseph. She was a contestant in the Miss Texas pageant. This was down in Hayes County in Texas. Now, she and Joseph divorced, and interestingly enough, he's the one who filed for divorce, okay? And this was amongst allegations that he had both, well, it came out later. Let's just say it came out later, but I'm sure this was going on at the time, that there was a lot of mudslinging going on at the time. It was said that that he was a very abusive person, that he was abusive towards Lori, he was abusive towards Tylee and Colby, and that there were allegations that he might have sexually abused both of those kids too. Colby has said in interviews that he did. Of course, we don't have Tylee to tell us, but anyway. So they were divorced by May of 2005. I know, right, Chad? Yeah, Miss Texas in Hayes County. Hi, Sandy. In 2006 is when she marries Charles Vallow. Now, they were married for quite a while, okay? This one was. And the family liked Charles. They never really liked the three other husbands. When she married her first husband, her mother says that they had told her, because she had just gotten out of school, they were like, you better wait, don't get married, blah, blah, blah. Well, she went off and got married. They didn't go to her wedding or anything. And then it didn't last long. And next thing you know, she's marrying the second one. And they're like, they didn't go to that one either. But they liked Charles. And so they had a fairly decent relationship with Charles. And right after they got married, Charles joined the LDS Church, the Mormon faith. So everything was going along, just fine. And of course, she had Colby, and then she had Tylee, and then they adopted JJ. So they didn't actually have kids together. Now, Charles had 4 kids altogether. He had 2 kids with a previous marriage. So he had been married and divorced and had 2 kids. And they both adopted JJ. Now, JJ was Charles's great nephew. Now, this is a little confusing to some people, but he was his great uncle, and him and Lori adopted him. Okay. Hi, Rosie. Yeah, the Mrs. Texas pageant. Absolutely. Yes. Now, Charles was a financial analyst, and he had his own, I have not figured out what company this was or whatever, but the way that the news information came out, sounds like he was part of another organization and had his own like branch of that. Either that or he had his own financial company, and he did a lot of traveling. Okay, so he was born and raised down, or he was from, I don't know about born, but he was from Louisiana and had a very big family in Louisiana. But he had moved to Texas to be in that metroplex, the bigger area, and he had actually moved there to play baseball. He was a baseball player. And he had money, he had the attitude for the money. When you're a financial analyst, you want to show that you are self-sufficient, that you are somebody who knows how to handle money and use money. It's just part of the thing. That was his thing. And not very long after they got married, Charles and Alex. Not very long after Charles and Lori got married, about a year later, it was in 2000, I'm not sure the date, but 2007, Alex, who is Lori's brother, attacks Joseph Ryan. Now, this was Lori's third husband. He attacks him with a taser at his heart. He serves 90 days he admits this, and he serves 90 days for assault. Yes, Charles Vallow was JJ's great uncle, and Lori and Charles adopted JJ because JJ's grandparents felt that they would be able to give him a better life and do more for him, a more stable environment, if they'd only known, right? Hi, Margaret. Is that clear for you guys? Did I clear it up? Let me take a break. Hi, Roseanne. Clear as mud. Okay. I'll go over it again. I really will. In 2013 is when they adopted JJ. In 2014, Lori and Charles moved to Hawaii. While there, in 2015 is when Lori very first reads the very first book by Chad Daybell. Okay? And she becomes infatuated with his books and with him. And in 2017, the Vallows moved to Chandler, Arizona. Lori appears on a podcast, and it is called Preparing a People. And of course, she's on there with Chad Daybell on this podcast. Now, as I said, in 2018 is when Joseph Ryan, which was Lori's third husband, dies of a heart attack. You think maybe getting tasered had something to do with it? I don't know. Just wondering. Sounds strange. In 2019, on July 11th, Charles is shot and killed by Alex at Lori's house. In August of 2019, Lori and the kids moved to Rexburg, Idaho. And this is a very, nearly the whole town is LDS, is Mormon and LDS. September 8th is the very last time that Tylee is seen alive, or that anybody knows anything about where she's at. She totally disappears after this. And it was with a picture that was taken at Yellowstone Park. And Lori and Alex and Tylee and JJ go to Yellowstone on a trip. And then Tylee is never seen again. And then September 22nd is the last time that JJ is seen by anybody. And I believe they said it was through the ring on Lori's door. That's the last place that he was seen, was on the door. You know, in that little video. I think that was the last time. No, that's not right either. It was a picture of him on the couch. In some red pajamas. October 9th. Okay, now we get into this one, which is Tammy Daybell, Chad Daybell's wife. October 9th, she dies. November 5th, Lori and Chad go to Hawaii and get married. Hi, Lydia. Come on in. In December, and they come back and they get questioned. There's all kinds of things that happen. And then in December, they run back to Hawaii to get away from everything. And in January, the Woodcocks, I'll talk about them in just a minute, but the Woodcocks, who were JJ's grandparents, they get a court order to make Lori produce the children. She is arrested because, of course, she does not produce the children. She's arrested and brought back to Idaho. On June 9th, which is my birthday, y'all, on June 9th of 2020, there is a search of Chad Daybell's backyard, and they find the bodies of the kids in the backyard. That is in 2020. Okay. Questions? Is it not crazy? It is so crazy. It's all crazy. Hello, Nancy. Hi, Sandy. The kids were missing from September of 2019. So for several months, it was not until she was asked to produce them in January of 2020. They'd already been gone for 3 or 4 months. And then they weren't actually found until June. So they were gone for like 9 months before they were finally found. And I remember in January when she was asked to produce those kids, because I had already been following this case, and I was at Chelsea's, and she was having my grandson Solomon. And I remember when they announced that she was going to be ordered to produce those kids, and that she had not produced them, and they were bringing her back. And I thought, oh, maybe we'll get some answers. Maybe we'll finally find out, where those kids were. But she did not talk. She wasn't saying nothing. She's still not. So yes, she divorced the first husband, married the second husband, divorced the second husband, married the third husband. The third husband divorced her. She married the fourth husband. Her brother Alex killed the fourth husband, and she married Chad, who is her fifth husband. That's the husband stuff. Yes. I haven't gone into that yet, but I do know. I can tell you, when they found the children, they were wrapped in black. And I'm sorry if this is a trigger warning. If anybody has any problems, please know that I am going to talk about a couple. I'm not going to show pictures, anything. I don't ever show pictures, things like that, but I am going to say a few things. Well, we're going to get into that, Tony, because that's a whole big part of this and why most people think that it did happen. Okay. So they found the kids wrapped in plastic bags and duct tape wrapped around the bags. JJ was, his arms and legs and everything were tucked and wrapped up. Tylee's body had been at least partially burned, and it looks like there was an attempt to dismember her before disposing of her. Her body was treated much worse, very badly. And they have not released the cause of death on these kids yet. So Lori Vallow's brother, Alex, tasered Joseph and served 90 days for assault. On July 11th of 2019, he shot and killed Charles Vallow, her fourth husband. So he did not kill Joseph. He tasered him, and then Joseph died years later. But he assaulted him. And at the time, he told someone that, and I don't remember now who it was, but he told someone that he wanted to kill him. He wanted to kill Joseph. So Chad Daybell is an author. And if you would like to support him, you can go over and you can purchase his books on Amazon. I wouldn't, but you can. It's still there. They're all still there. Yeah. There is. Well, it's going to start with a very, very long time between bars, I hope. Right, Wendy? Yes, it was a cult, Lydia. And I want to make it clear that no one in any of the coverage, no one in any of the eyewitness reports, reporters, nobody is saying anywhere that the Mormon faith or the LDS, the Church of Latter-day Saints, nobody is saying that that is a cult. What they were doing was meeting in groups that were branched off from the regular meeting of the LDS church. They were a member of the church there, but they were having private meetings. And Chad Daybell has said that he had 2 near-death experiences, and that the veil broke for him between this world and the other side. And because the veil broke for him, that he gets visions and he talks to the other side, and he is told things that other people don't get. That's the premise of this. There was a message board in Rexburg, in that community. And this message board was called a Vow, AVOW. I forget what it stands for. We'll find it at some point. But hi, Miguel. Yeah, don't you wonder, Patricia? And on this message board, Chad started to share some of his writings and things. So they had people who had started to branch off and to meet with them. And there were people that believed these things that Chad was talking about. And it just became a group of people. There was never any like, okay, there's 100 people, or there's this many people, there's 20, or there's 5. There's no really a good way of saying who was there and who wasn't there and all of these things. But they didn't necessarily meet, at the church and be sanctioned by the church for all of this stuff, because these things were not things that the church teaches. Yeah, the Daybell's dingbats. Oh my gosh. I like that, Colleen. Oh my gosh. That's pretty good. Has that been said somewhere? Did you make that up? Because I love that. Now, Charles Vallow had joined the church, okay? And he was, along with Lori, he was doing things that the church would have asked them to do. They were prepared. The LDS church asks that people in their congregation that they prepare for days when there might be, an economic downturn, or there might be something happen, and they want them to always have backup food, backup supplies, things that they might need. And then if somebody else, in the church needs help, they would help them also. So it's a part of, taking care of each other and taking care of the community. So in a way, they call them, a little bit of prepper, I love it, Colleen. That was funny. Yes. And Alicia B and I have been talking, and we're going to talk more about this coming up. We certainly are. Yeah. Daybell's ring. Are you listening? Anyway, Charles started to understand that things had changed with Lori. And he was not very comfortable with what was going on. And he had tried to tell her, look, this is, they were prepared, and, he was part of the, this was, the church stuff was good and everything. But this stuff that she was getting into, this is not right. She was starting to talk about how people that she was seeing her day-to-day life, people in her day-to-day life, that they were zombies. She called the kids zombies at some point. She called Charles a zombie. She said that Charles was no longer Charles, that somebody else had taken over his body. I got it. I got the second blanket, Rosie. Thank you. It'll be put into my folder. So I believe that it was in January of 2019 when Charles tried to have Lori committed. He actually got a court order. They agreed with the evidence and the things that he was saying, that she needed to be evaluated. She got picked up, she got evaluated, and they let her go home and said she was not a danger to herself or anyone else. So he tried. At that point, when that did not work and she would not go in and she would not get help, he decided to go and hire a divorce lawyer. And he put it in his divorce proceedings. The divorce filings actually say, if something happens to me, Lori did it. Because Lori told him that she could use her powers to have him killed and an angel would get rid of his body. So the things that they were talking about, we'll get into this further, but yes, it was very cultish. Not the church, but these little sidebar community, these little groups they were having. So the night that Charles is killed, July 11th of 2019, when Charles was killed, the timeline is Charles arrives to pick up JJ at 7:35 in the morning. He takes JJ to the car. So JJ is not in the house when all of this happens. He takes him to the car, and he has a rental car. And the reason he has a rental car is because Lori, he had come home a couple nights before, and from, a trip for work. The home, he was having that rented for her, and she's changed the locks. She canceled his flight. He had to get another flight. She took his pickup from the parking at the airport, so he didn't have a way to get home. So now he's in a rental. He won't tell her where. She's taken all his stuff and moved all his stuff. Yes, I believe he was actually living in Texas, but he was leasing this home for her. He was paying for that. And so both Lori and Charles had asked Alex to come. This is the story. Of course, Charles can't corroborate this. That they had asked him to come and be there because they thought he was supposed to pick JJ up. And they thought it would be better if he was there because then because they were arguing and stuff. That's the story. That's why Alex came and spent the night before. So Tylee was in the house. Alex was in the house. Lori was in the house. Charles takes JJ to the car. He forgets his phone. He goes back in the house to get his phone. This is the story. This is what Alex told everybody. This is what everybody told him. And Lori has his phone and they start to argue about it. And Tylee comes out of her bedroom with a baseball bat. And Alex said that Charles took the baseball bat from Tylee and went at Tylee and Lori with the baseball bat, and he shot him. I don't know what you mean, Tony. Okay, I'm going to change colors. However, the autopsy report came out on Charles, and even though Alex had said that Charles was standing when he shot him, there's a mark in the floor where he had shot him, he went down, and he shot him laying down because it marked the floor, went straight through and hit the floor. So that proves that he was lying about that. Charles was shot several times, both in the chest and in the stomach. He waited 43 minutes to call 911. The 911 dispatcher asked him to do CPR. He breathed into the phone as if he was doing CPR. However, when the police and the EMS got there, Alex was perfectly clean. He didn't have a drop of Charles's blood on him, so there's no way that he performed CPR. And of course, then they learned later on that he waited 43 minutes to call anyway. He was never going to be able to help. He was already gone. I know, crime scene analysis. Yeah. Oh, I am sure we will be talking about this, Alicia, on Duty Ron and with Ed, because this case is going to go to trial in January of 23. Okay, this is the one I'm using now. Okay. Now I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Yeah, not at all suspicious. So Charles arrives to pick up JJ. Lori leaves at 7:49. Lori leaves with Charles's rental and his phone and goes to Walgreens and then to Burger King and gets JJ food for breakfast and takes him to school, and Tylee goes with her. Also somewhere around 7:49, Charles was shot. Now, there was a discrepancy between their two stories, and that was that Lori said she'd already left, that she heard the shot as she was leaving. Alex's story said that Lori had already left, that there was no way she could have heard the shot. Yeah, I know it. They will. You will hurt someone if you do it right. Yep. 8:32, Alex calls 911. He says he's attempting CPR. 8:40, the EMS and the police arrive. Alex has no blood on him. 8:48, Lori arrives back at home with Kylie. And I don't know if you guys, but there's been lots of footage of her when she arrives back. And she arrives, if you haven't seen that, she arrives back at the house, and they have her and Kylie over to the side, and Um, and they asked Lori, well, do you live here? And she goes, yeah, we just moved in very long ago. And she laughs and she says, sorry, neighbors. There's that too. There's that too, Joan. Why would you leave? You hear shots and you just leave? Well, I got to take him to school. Now, I wanted to clarify Charles's sister is Kay, and her husband, it's Kay and Larry Woodcock. And so they are the grandparents. It is Kay's son would be JJ's father. Let me give that a minute to settle in. Kay is married to Larry. Their last name is Woodcock. Charles Vallow is Kay's brother. Kay's son is JJ's dad. Charles and Lori adopted JJ. And Charles is JJ's great uncle. Did I just confuse you again or did I clear it up? I know. It's hard. It is very confusing. Exactly. I know, Kat. The story does not add up. But can you believe that at the time when Alex shot Charles, the police, the Chandler, Arizona police, believe him when he says it was self-defense? They did not think anything of this. They took them in, they were questioned, and they were released. Lori and Alex, everybody, they questioned the daughter, everything. The daughter is just as calm as anybody else is. I mean, she'd been living with Charles, and she was perfectly calm. It's nuts. But these grandparents, you will see them on all kinds of things. They have been very vocal. They have been pushing and pushing and pushing to get her to tell the truth. They're very upset with Lori over the whole thing. They don't believe a word of any of it. They don't even believe that the whole religious thing had anything to do with it. They think all that Chad and Lori wanted, which is, I'm leaning the same way, is that Lori and Chad wanted each other and they did whatever they could to get there. Okay? And they hired a private investigator named Rich Robertson. And he has been a big part of the things that they have been able to accomplish um, with this case and getting some answers. Now, Charles had his cause of death came out. He was 62 at the time of his death. He had multiple gunshot wounds to his chest and stomach. He had multiple bruises to his right side of his chest, abrasions to his left arm, his right hand, and his knees. This will probably be important later. I believe they are, Terry. I believe they are from Lake Charles. There was a big family there. He has a big family in Louisiana, and I want to say that I heard them talking about Lake Charles. Now, before I go on, before the kids were found, before anything ever happened, Alex, Alex died. Okay, he shot Charles, but then what did I say? When did Alex die? I did not say. I want to say he died in 18. No, 18 was the other one. I'm going to have to look that up. I can't remember. Oh, it's December. Thank you. Oh, Sandy, how you doing? Are you home? You guys, Sandy I do want to mention this. I do want to say it's not something I talk about on my channel. I don't do fundraisers. I don't do any of that kind of thing. But Sandy is just getting out of the hospital. She had surgery on her throat. You're home. Okay. I would ask you if you would like to do anything for Sandy, you can go to her channel. And she has all the information on her. She had to put out a short little video, and you can go and check that out if you'd like to. Yeah. Oh. Well, maybe you can hang out with us for a little while and not think about what's going on, okay? Maybe just a little escape for a little while. Alex Cox was married to a woman named Zulila, and there's no way I can say her last name, okay? They went to Vegas and got married, and he took her last name. Now, we're not trying to cover anything up or hide, are we? You take her last name. And he collapsed in the bathroom. Supposedly he had a blood clot in the lung, and they considered it natural causes. He had gone to Mexico and gotten some sort of medications for something. He was having some sort of issues, and he went to Mexico and gets these medications. And so he dies of natural causes. And it's strange because, Tammy dies of natural causes too. Well, Alex dies the day after they exhume Tammy Daybell's body to find out maybe what exactly she died from. The day after. She had died in October. They exhumed her body the day before Alex dies. I know, I've never heard of a man take the woman's name, ever. Ever. Yes, prayers for you, Sandy. Is that not crazy? Okay, I didn't want to mention that because that's just nuts. Now, I'm going to be quiet for just a minute, and I'm going to show you something. Let me see if I can. I have to share my screen. Oh, maybe we can do it that way. So this is eastidahonews.com, and I will leave a link. This is the Daybell case, and Nate Eaton has done an extraordinary, and his team have done an extraordinary job here. Okay. Now, you can go here, you can learn about the family. There's videos that you can watch. Here's the timeline. And I'm just going to kind of go through this briefly. If you are making comments, I can't see them right now because all I can see is my screen here. Now, this timeline was published originally in January of 2020. It's been updated with the latest events as of April 11th, 2022. In Rexburg, in December of 19, the world learned that the two children, Joshua J.J. Vallow and his sister Tylee Ryan, were missing. This is the timeline. March 9th, 1990, in Manti, Utah, according to her obituary. The couple, Chad and Tammy, were married in 1990. They lived in Springville, Utah. Now I'm going to come back over here for a second because, you guys, how crazy is it? But one of the names they have for Lori is the grave digger's wife. And the reason is because when Chad lived in Springville, Utah with Tammy, he was a grave digger. That was his job. Can you believe it? Oh, the crazy is similar. Okay. Multiple marriages, the church stuff. Okay. Right now, let me go back over here. In 2006, oh, sorry. I just wanted to give you some background on Tammy. So they lived in Springfield, Utah, where they founded the Spring Creek Book Company, through which Chad Daybell, an author, published many of his books. The couple had 5 children before moving to their home in Salem, Idaho in 2015. Tammy Daybell worked as a school librarian. In 2006, marriage records show Lori married her 4th husband, Charles. So you guys, this is just a really, I would like you to go over there and go through, and there's links to so many different things. I want to go back. Let's see. There was one I wanted to show. Okay.
Lori Vallow Daybell first came here to Self Storage Plus in Rexburg to rent a storage unit. This is the unit that she put her items in.
This is Nate Eaton.
It's a 10 by 10, and over the next few weeks after October 1st, she came here a few different times. Surveillance footage from the company shows Lori or a man associated with her visited her unit 9 times in October and 1 time in November. She came alone once on October 1st, the day she signed the contract and agreed to pay $53 a month. She was driving a blue Nissan Rogue. Lori returned October 2nd and 3rd with a man who appears to be her brother, Alex Cox. His truck is spotted on camera several times during the month. During one visit, the two of them enter the building. The man looks back and forth as Lori opens the unit door. He then removes a heavy tote with something hanging over the end. It's placed in the car. They go back inside the building, and he carries out a tire while she closes the door. Between October 6th and 26th, a man, presumably Cox, visits the storage unit alone 5 times. Cameras show him dropping off a variety of items, including gun cases. And then on October 28th, 2 men are seen moving bikes into the unit. During October, the visitors are seen with large, heavy totes. Sometimes they put things in the unit, then remove them within days. The last time anyone visits the facility in October is on the 28th. Nobody comes back for nearly a month. But on November 24th, Lori and a man are again seen on camera. They stay for 4 minutes and leave. 2 days later, Rexburg police go to her townhouse for a welfare check on JJ. The next day, November 27th, officers serve a search warrant at the home and then go to the storage unit with a search warrant. Inside, they find bikes, a scooter, winter clothing, a photo album with pictures of the children, sports equipment, a backpack with JJ's initials, a jersey with Colby's name, Lori's oldest son, along with ice skates and blankets, one showing photos of JJ, the other with pictures of Tylee. Detectives photographed everything, and in January, when Lori's credit card was declined several times, Self Storage Plus notified the police. Workers say officers have not returned since the end of November. Workers have reached out to Daybell multiple times, but they have been unsuccessful in reaching her, and she has not contacted them. Now, here at Self Storage Plus, they realized the other day that Lori may have been using their facility. They called their security system Elite Surveillance. They came up and helped them pull the footage. Now they are waiting to see what's next. Reporting in Rexburg, I'm Nate Eaton, East.
And this was on February 4th, 2020, this video. I know. No, I didn't think about that, Alicia, but so here's the importance. I want you guys to know the importance of, yes, happy Easter, everyone. If you are leaving, I appreciate your being here. The importance. Okay, I'll check it out. I'll check it out, Chad. The importance of the tire is that it was thought that Alex Cox may have been the person who fired shots and shattered the window of Brandon Boudreaux. Now, Brandon Boudreaux was married at the time to Lori Vallow's niece, Melanie. And what they said was, it looked like it was probably Charles Vallow's Jeep, and that the tire off the back of the Jeep had been removed, and that he opened the back hatch, stuck the gun out, and shot through the back. That's why that's important about what you see there. And that thing that looked like it had stuff hanging off was a seat. So someone could definitely lean back out and not have to lean over that seat. So, yeah. Anyway, I wanted to bring that up because there was a very big release of information. Oh, that's a good question, Alicia. So somewhere in that timeline on that page that I just showed you, there were reports by lots of people that Alex and Lori, her brother and sister, had more relationship than just brother and sister, and that she had a power over Alex because of it. So I think that she used her feminine ways on Alex, that she gave him what he wanted. There was a lot of reports that he said that she thought that she was hot, that she was sexy. There were if you see, there's a report by there was a woman, he was married before. I know, right, Colleen? Ugh. He was married before, and the wife They were only married for a few months, and she came to she called, and she called the police department, and she said, "This really bothered me. This really bothered me because Lori would sit in his lap and she would give him lap dances and stuff like that." And they actually talked about sex and all kinds of stuff. So, yeah. So if you're wondering why in the world would he do all of these things, because he loved her in more ways than one. And who knows what she promised him, you know? And I think that he finally, when he married Zulema, it's possible that he might have thought, well, because here Lori went off with Chad and they went off to Hawaii and all that stuff, I mean, it didn't look like he would have a chance. And Lori now had what she wanted. She had Chad. So he got married. But he told Zulema some things. It was very interesting. Some of the things that he told her were very interesting. Yes, blood brother and sister. Yes. Yep, his first wife divorced him because of it. So the phone records, it looks like the phone records are going to play a very big part in how the prosecutors lay out the case, because they have I think it's called a cast, A-C-A-S-T. It's either a cast or a vast. I think it's a vast, and it's video record stuff. Not video. I don't know. It's cell phone. Yeah, scumbags. Exactly, Sandy. They are scumbags. And they pinged Alex's phone. So that, what was her name? Melanie. That was a friend of theirs, right? And went to church with them. She went to the all of the conferences that they went to, all of these things. And Lori was telling her things, there was all this stuff, right? She and her husband were spending the night at Lori's the night before JJ disappeared. Okay? So everybody went to bed. The next morning there was no JJ. And Melanie said, "Well, where's JJ?" Lori said that JJ was acting like a zombie and Alex came and got him. Okay. The night before, they had seen Alex carrying JJ in his arms, and he looked like he was asleep. And he carried him upstairs, like, towards the bedrooms. And Alex's phone pinged at Lori's house, and then the following day at he pinged at 3:30 in the morning at Lori's, and at 6:30 in the morning his phone pinged in Chad Daybell's backyard. Okay, Rosie. So yeah, the whole Melanie thing, she did this. You can watch her interview that she did with Nate on East Idaho News. They did a whole deal, and I think it was on, the interview was replayed on 2020, if I'm not mistaken. It was either 2020 or Dateline. I think it's the same thing. Anyway, hi Deneen, come on in. And she talks a lot about the things that she hid for a while, But she talks a lot about some of these things, and she says that she wanted to get the word out because there were people, people died, and she said that it was not right for her not to tell people what she knew, the people who were related to them, that it's not right for those families not to know what she knows, but that she's not involved. Hi, Shara. Thank you. It's scraps. It's all scraps. This yarn is actually what I used on my cowl that I did a tutorial for. And I don't have any idea what this yarn came off of. I think that's a hometown. I don't remember what I used it on. I want to say I made a hat with this. A chunky hat. Yes, that I think that has been talked about, Lori. Thank you. Lori Wallace says, I believe Alex married Zulema because Chad and Lori told them it was in the plan, which gave strength to their mission. With Chad Daybell as prophet. Oh, you guys are good. You guys are good. With Chad, we have to laugh a little bit, don't we? Come on, it's very, very sad. With Chad Daybell as prophet and Lori Horace as goddess, she was the gatherer. Okay, so here's truly, guys, these are the things that were brought up. I mean, they were talking about that they were gods and goddesses, that she said that she had lived on this earth 5 times. Chad had lived on this earth 5 times. Chad has said that he was Methuselah. They were descendants of all of these people in the oh my God. But that's that was good. I enjoyed that a lot. We're going to make fun of the criminals. Make fun of the criminals, right? I know. That's pretty good. They're nuts. They're just nuts. But I'm telling you, if you guys go watch some of the stuff with Larry and Kay, Larry says, they don't believe any of this. Lori and Chad do not believe any of this stuff. All of this stuff was done because they wanted each other, and it was the best way to get rid of everybody. I know, laughing's good for you. I know. That was perfect. So there are the storage unit and all of that stuff. They've got that. There's phone records that they're going to be using. This whole cult church thing, it was the preparing of people was this network that Chad found that was already established called a Vallow, and then they started the preparing a people podcast, and the other name was the Church of the Firstborn. So that comes in there at some point. It's just, and the things they were talking about, and zombies. I mean, it's way out there. Really? So Mike King is profiling evil, if you guys do not know him. Hi, Cheryl. Mike King says the insanity defense is not an option in this in this jurisdiction. Interesting. Hi, Lori. I'm glad you're here hanging out. There she is. Hi, Cheryl. Well, she obviously has been faking it all along. If she's now competent to stand trial, yeah. She passed that whole, and think about Charles. He tried. You guys, he really tried. He did it. He talked to the police. He talked to the he took her to get her evaluated. He did all these things. And there's also a another one that I want to mention, and that is Fox 10. What was that? Alicia, do you remember what that was? Fox 10 Phoenix, I think. I believe it's Fox 10 Phoenix. And that guy's name is Justin Loom, Lum, I think. And he did an interview with Alex's son. And that is very, very good. Now, if you guys want to hear that one, if you want to hear that, I will play it for you. You let me know if you want to hear it. How many people or would like to hear it? Oh, thank you. I've already forgotten your first name again. I keep telling myself I'm not going to forget it, but I have. Knitting Artisan, I already forgot, but it's all right. You guys want to? Okay, let me see if I can find it. Give me just a second here. I want to say that I put it in my folder. No, I did not. I go to Fox 10 Phoenix. Here it is. Okay, I found it. Now let me go over here and share my screen. Now, this is Alex Cox's son, okay? And he lived for a little while. Oh, my goodness. Oh, Cindy. Her name is Cindy? Okay, cool. Hi, Cindy. Okay, I'm going to play this for you.
I need to continue here.
I'm recording to the cloud right now, so we're good to go.
Yes, Justin Lum.
Yeah, all right.
And his name is Zach.
Zach Cox, thanks for taking the time to talk to me. I've never gotten to talk to you on the record, but we've always been in touch. And just so people know, Zach, you are Lori Vallow's nephew.
Correct. Yep, I am Adam Cox's son, her brother.
So Charles Vallow was Uncle Charles to you.
Yep.
Tylee Ryan was like a sister.
Yep.
JJ Vallow was like your little brother.
Lori was like a second mom.
And you lived with them.
I lived with them January 2018 to about May of 2018, and then I went back home for the summer and came back to Arizona September-ish of 2018 and lived with Lori until about January of 2019 when things really picked up and snapped off with Charles.
So that's huge. I really, of course, want to get your reaction on the case, the death investigation with Charles Vallow. And now, obviously, everyone knows that Chandler PD has submitted their case for for one charge of conspiracy to commit murder to Maricopa County Attorney's Office. So it's up to MCAO to actually charge her, but this is huge for Charles. But we're going to go all the way back to, I just want you to tell me what 2018 and 2019 was like. You saw the change in her. And that date, 2018, October 2018 specifically, the 26th, when she met Chad Daybell in Utah for preparing the people, that's when prosecutors saying this is when it began for them. You really saw how everything unfolded in the household. Just take me back to that and how she was acting.
Yeah, so for me, it was 2017. They had just moved to Arizona from Hawaii. And I went out there with Colby and my dad for spring break. And they were all gone one day. Like everyone in the family went to do something or go see a movie. And I kind of hung out at the house with my dad for spring break. And she started talking about all these books that she's been reading. Chad Daybell books. I forgot what this other book was called, but it's really controversial in the LDS church for the beliefs. I'm trying to remember what it is. I'll say it if it pops up. And talking about Julie Rowe's podcast and listening to those things. And she said some scary stuff that I was sitting there with.
That was another person, was Julie Rowe, and Chad Daybell actually was helping to publish Julie Rowe's books. And she was the other person I was talking about, that podcast called Preparing the People. She was the other person involved with that.
JJ and one of my other cousins. And to me, I was, I think, 17, 18. She was saying, if you watch an R-rated movie or say a bad word, there's always an evil spirit that's screaming in your face, like encouraging it. And I was on my phone like, wow, that's crazy. So, time goes on. I move in with them and start working in Arizona. And she spent a lot of time at the temple. Charles would go on trips, so I'd help with JJ for business. So I'd help watch JJ, hang out with Tylee. She'd be at the temple for about 8 hours a day, like a full-time job sometimes. And I think on Thursdays she actually did work at the temple in Gilbert. So a lot of the changes I saw was she started to, like if we were driving in the car, instead of listening to the radio or music, it would be a Julie Rowe podcast. Or I forgot his name, maybe Mike Stroud had a podcast. A lot of...
Yeah, most people listen to music, even if it's, spiritual music. Anyway.
Really religious, outside of the church podcast. So she was always listening to something from these beliefs. And change-wise, because I had talked to Charles about it, because she was telling us that she never had to eat again, never had to go to the bathroom, that she was invincible. When she was saying these things, it was towards January of 2019 when she had kicked Charles out of the house. That's when I had left, and that's when she was saying those things mostly.
That was late January 2019, and we see the body camera footage.
Yeah.
And Charles is, pleading with Gilbert PDs. He wanted her mentally evaluated, and all his stuff was gone. We know that story.
That was the day.
It was hard for you, though, and a lot of people have questions about this. He was contacting you, he was contacting Tyler. What was he saying, and why was that difficult for you? What were you doing?
So January, I can't remember the day. I was really...
Probably the 30th, around, I think the 30th.
It was the very end of January, I know that, because we had just moved into that house at January 1st. We were only in that new house for about a month. Lori had told me that Charles was dead, and there was a zombie living in him, and she was really manipulative about some things before that with Charles, with the entire family. So
Excuse me, everyone. I was trying to pull up the chat on my other device, but I'm not able to do that. So I'm sorry. I am trying, but
entire family's cutting Charles
I'll take
off.
a break
She
here in a
sends
minute.
us texts. Me and Charles are in a big fight. If he calls, you don't answer. So everyone in my family listened to that and instantly sided with Lori, because Lori was saying that he was having an affair. So come that day, she tells me that he's a zombie, he's dead. There's someone living inside him named Ned Schneider. And this is the day that it kind of snapped for me, because previously I had discussed this with Charles, and I said, this was before really everything happened, but I was like, what do you believe? Because he had asked me too. I mean, do you believe the things Lori's saying? And I was like, well, I don't, and I don't want you to get mad if you believe him. And he said, I don't believe him, but it makes her happy. She's taking care of JJ. She's making dinner. Like, she was living a regular life believing these things. And at the time, obviously, she ended up hurting others and hurting herself, but none of us knew it would get this big. And we just said, she's not hurting anyone. She's not hurting herself, like, for believing these things. It's, if anyone believes anything, whether it be politics, religion, sports, it was her belief, and it wasn't affecting us. So he said, just nod your head and keep her happy, because she was happy, and they were happy until that October where she had met Chad, where, according to those documents, is really when everything started to plan out.
The documents that Chad emailed about light and dark spirits, or who she was in her past life,
Yep.
and other people who they were in their past lives, in her circle. Like, have you seen these on book paper? Has she talked about them? Were these like very confidential to her?
She was very confident. She was really confidential about them. She had one where she was out and about, and she had asked me to text her. I sent it over to you, I think, one of those pictures, but she had asked me to text her a picture of some page she left on the printer. And I went downstairs, took a picture, texted it to her, and I think it was something about their past lives and people that they knew. Some of the other experiences I had was they filmed one of their podcast episodes downstairs when I was upstairs, and she had told me, if I come downstairs, to be super quiet and not interrupt, things like that. And that was with, Melanie Gibb, Jason Mao, and I forgot his name, but he was part of their podcast too. There was a fourth guy. Thor. Yep, it was Thor. So they filmed that podcast down below, but sorry I get sidetracked because there's just so many things that pop up.
No, it's okay. I mean, this is a tight-knit group doing the podcast, I assume. Did they worship Chad? How much did they talk about Chad? Or was he kind of just behind the scenes still at that point?
Lori was, to me, Chad was just an author that Lori and Alex read his books. I didn't know that they had Chad, they were meeting up with at things like that. Because Al actually gave me one of his books one time, Chasing Paradise is the name. And he said, if you read this, I'll give you $100. Because he wanted me, and it was about, they really believed it was a true story, that this girl.
But Alex was really into it too, not just Lori.
Yeah,
Alex and Lori were both on the same wavelength with these books. They're always fans, and wanted to bring you in, or whoever would listen.
Right. Yeah, the thing about Alex too is mentally he was always off. Like, he was a weird guy. And he was definitely easy to manipulate, and I think Lori knew that. And she was very manipulative. But he full-hearted believed these things. She had told Al that she talked to Jesus Christ face-to-face one time, and Al went and told his bishop that. And then his bishop was kind of like, that's kind of strange. That's an awesome experience, but I've never heard of someone saying that before. And Lori had gotten mad at Al about it, because Al would go and say these things to other people that sounded crazy, which were crazy, and she knew that, and it would upset her that he would go tell other people that. So that's how that really was. They had that dynamic of always, same thing with him, he was a truck driver, and instead of like listening to music or, the radio, he was listening to religious podcasts and these, I don't know what the right word is for these books, these Preparing a People books, maybe, kind of about the end of times and things. But going back to that day with Charles, so we get into that fight around the afternoon, and I start packing up my things, and Tylee comes upstairs because Lori had asked for Tylee to go pick up JJ from school, and take him to do something fun. So Tylee had asked me if I wanted to go with her to pick him up from school and go do something fun. So I said yes. So finished packing my things, load up my car. We take her car, go pick up JJ, and then we went to eat at Freddy's. He loved going to Freddy's right by his school. and then we went to the movies and we saw a movie, and JJ loved to play in the play area at the movies, so he did that while we were watching a movie. And I came back and got in my car and I went to my grandparents, and my whole thought process during this time was that I don't like conflict. I know Lori and Charles have had fights before. I know this one was a little different with why she was fighting with him. And I really, to be honest, I just didn't want to be involved. It was something that I thought they would work out, things like that. So it was a long day. I get to my grandparents around like 7:30 at night because they know Charles is having a fight. Charles and Lori were having a fight. And I said, hey, can I stay with you guys for a little bit if that doesn't pan out? And they said, sure. And I regret it. I plugged in my phone, set it down, and I went to sleep that night. And that's when I woke up to 30 texts from Charles. That was the night that, and I should have called him. That's probably one of my biggest regrets, is that I didn't call him that day driving to my grandparents saying Lori's going crazy. He had canceled. Like that's one of my biggest regrets with this whole thing. And
so you have witnessed that she was upset. You're on that other side where Charles is coming back from Houston and you were with Lori, and she's saying that he's a zombie, he's Ned or Nick Schneider. She cancels his flight, etc. The truck is taken. His stuff. I don't know. How does one person go about removing all these belongings too?
So she had Melanie Gibb come over and help her out, and that's when me, Tylee, and JJ were gone.
Okay, so Melanie Gibb, that was her friend Melanie that is involved with this case. And so he's saying that Melanie came over and they got all of Charles's stuff out and all of this because, she's telling people that Charles is, that there's something wrong with Charles.
It was just her and Melanie Gibb taking out all his clothes, his laptop, or whatever he had.
So Charles had said too, once he found his stuff, because I woke up to about 30 texts from him, and I woke up at 7 and called him instantly. And he said he was at the house, and he found his stuff. She hid all of his stuff. She packed it up in boxes and put it behind the food storage in this closet, because she had a ton of food storage too.
Okay, Sandy, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Yeah, if you see the video of him with the police where he tries to get back in because she's moved his truck and all of that, all of his stuff and all of that, I think this is the night that he's talking about.
So she left it all behind this stuff thinking he would never find it. Or it got to a point where she eventually told him where his truck was, and there were some other things that happened. I think he had gone to JJ's school that day too to pick him up with the rental car, and he took her purse, and that was that whole thing.
That's a little body camera footage, and Lori's telling her side to the cops, and eventually she goes and gets mentally evaluated, but she's released like that.
Right. So past that, then she's fit for trial.
And you went to your grandparents talking about Barry and Janice. I'm interested in what they thought.
And that's the other thing is I was in a tough situation that this is probably my biggest regret is I should have done more back then. Everyone in the family hated Charles. No one was talking to him, answering his calls, texts, going off on him because they believe.
Who is everyone? First off, so people know who's everyone. The majority.
The whole Cox family. Barry, Janice, Summer, her husband, Colby, Kelsey, everyone took Lori's side immediately without.
Do y'all want me to keep playing this, or because I can, if you guys you can always go and watch this. Okay, Cheryl. This is like 30 minutes. It's enough for, yeah. Okay. Let's see. And do that. There we go. I'm back. But it was very interesting hearing his side of the story. So Fox 10 is another place to go and look at a lot of information about this. And of course, East Idaho News. There's a lot of really, really good stuff there too. Yes, I will definitely have the link down below. Let's see. Let me go see if I can. Oh, I closed it, I think, but I can grab it for you. Hang on just a minute. I'm looking. I lost it because I closed it out. So hold on just a minute. But someone was saying that that was not Alex's son. Okay, I had that wrong. It is Lori Vallow's nephew, Zach. But I'm not sure who Adam is. Someone said so. This must be I'm just looking to see. It just says his nephew Zach, but I'll post this link for you guys. There you go. There's the link to that video. Oh, the oldest. See, I was thinking there was another brother, but I couldn't find that when I was looking earlier. In my research, and I went through that stuff, but I couldn't find that she had I knew that she had Adam, she had the sister Summer, but I was wanting to say that I'd seen somewhere she had another brother. So that must be, okay, so Adam is her oldest brother. Interesting. So that wasn't Alex's son, which makes more sense because I never saw anywhere that he had a son. So that makes more sense. How are you guys doing on your blankets? I know it is a cast of characters. Whew. Yes, it is. It is just going to be crazy, isn't it, Tony? It is going to be crazy. All right, let me see. There's another sister that Melanie's mom. Oh, that's right. Melanie is the niece. There we go. My hands are back. Oh, Shad, I'm so sorry. I feel for you, my friend. I really do. Oh. You've had him ever since I've known you. Row 78 of your blanket. Woo, woo. That's good. Awesome. Making grannies. Cheryl is adding to hers. Cool. I did see your square. I sure did, Rosie. 16 years. Wow. Okay, so no, those are not the same people, Kimberly. So Melanie Gibb would be Lori Vallow's one of her best friends that she spent a lot of time with, and was also someone that went to the Chad Daybell to those conferences and things. Melanie Boudreau would be Lori's niece. And at the time, well, at one time, Melanie was married to someone named Brandon, and Brandon is the one that supposedly Alex shot at. And supposedly, that is the reason why they had to pull the tire and stuff out of that storage unit. I did. It turned out really good, Rosie. Yeah, Lori's niece. Mm-hmm. Okay, I hope. Does anybody else have any other questions that maybe I can help clear up? Anything I can that I've talked about so far? Melanie Niece and Melanie G. There you go. Lori, you're great with these little shortcuts. Oh my gosh. I know this trial is just going to be, but they're going to try them together. Oh, did I say anything about that? The charges? Okay. Let me see. On my notes. I think as of right now that Chad and Lori will be charged with first-degree murder on Tammy Daybell, and then conspiracy to murder Tylee and JJ. And I saw something recently that Lori may be charged for conspiracy to murder Charles also. And then Chad also has more charges of insurance fraud relating to Tammy, because it was important that he up her insurance before she died, because that's not a clue to something. And Chad and Lori are also in trouble, both of them, because of fraud of Social Security on Tylee and JJ while they were missing. So, yeah. And Chad is going to face the death penalty, and Lori's lawyer is qualified for death penalty cases. So, should they charge her with the death penalty, her lawyer he's qualified to serve on that one. The arraignment is next Tuesday, and trial in January. Conspiracy to commit on Tylee and JJ? Well, I think it's because the officials believe that Alex did it. So I'm pretty sure that they think that they at least both had something to do with Tammy's death. And then conspiracy on JJ and Tylee through Alex, and Lori on conspiracy of Charles because they can't prove that Chad was there. That Chad was anywhere around when that happened. So Tylee was 17. She was 16. She when this all started, all of this stuff started, she was about 16, and I think she had just turned. She hadn't been 17 for very long. And JJ was 7 or 8. Yeah, 8 when they died, and she was close to turning 17 when, yes, thank you. That right in there. Oh, Lori, I'm sorry. And, JJ was autistic. He had special needs. And this is what was really tearing Charles up, because when they were missing, he knew that JJ had special needs, and all he wanted was to, make sure that these and he had taken Tylee in as his own. I don't think he had any idea that she was siding with her mother at all on any of this stuff. Joyce, if you're listening, he's flubbering over there. Cerberus is. Were you flubbering? Were you flubbering over there? Were you? What was you doing? What was you doing? He's like, Mom, you've been sitting there for 2 hours now. That's about his limit. He wants me to get up and move around, you guys. So I am probably going to call it a night for tonight. We can talk more about this case because I know there is so much more we have not talked about. And I want to tell you all so, so much that you really, I'm so glad you were here. And that you guys enjoy talking about these things as much as I do. I really, the biggest thing for me in these cases, and the reason I like to talk about them, is I want to see the right people be charged for what they did and be put away. So, and I also want to make sure that those that have died, the things that have happened, that we treat their deaths as humanely as we can while we talk about it. Yeah, freaky, because her name is Lori. I know. Yeah, I'll tell you a story. I know how weird that feels, because when my mom passed away, and I went to just a minute, honey, just a minute. When I went to with Dad to make the arrangements and things, my daughter Carrie and my mother had the same name. And it was so weird because they kept saying, well, they kept saying her name, and it was like, okay, that's just freaking me out because, my daughter's still around, So I can understand how weird it is to hear that. Just a minute, okay? You're fine. Happy Easter, everyone. There we go. That's exactly it, Patricia. Honor the dead and seek justice. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, Shad. So thank you all. I hope you have a wonderful Easter. I will be here for Sippin' Sunday Live. However, if you guys are not able to attend, I absolutely understand. Thank you, those that are watching this back. I appreciate you, my replay warriors. And don't forget to send in your pictures of your blankets, because I like to see your progress and how you're doing. If you have any questions, just email me, vibrantfloozicrafts@gmail.com. I love you, Chelsea. I love you, Carrie. I love you, Oliver and Solomon, even though they don't watch these. And yes, hugs to all y'all. Hugs to all y'all. Thank you, moderators. I appreciate your being here and for helping me out. And everybody who watches. I just love everybody. Love y'all. And have fun today.